We begin tonight with a story that has never been told in this country until now. It involves the murders in the Caribbean of 2 Canadian children, a diagnosis of postpartum psychosis, and a grieving Toronto uncle searching for justice. Here's Avery Haynes with this City News exclusive.
I love you.
This is Rachel Augustine.
You take lots of good care of me.
And this is one of the final videos ever taken of the 5-year-old Toronto girl.
Bye-bye.
Shortly after the camera stopped recording, Rachel and her infant sister Sophie, just 2.5 months old, would be on a plane with their mother to visit relatives in Dominica, a lush island nation dotted between Guadeloupe and Martinique in the Caribbean Sea. And shortly after that,
I identified their bodies. They were laying on a piece of stainless steel. It looked like some sicko had just slashed it up.
September 16th, 2010, Rachel was stabbed 45 times, Sophie 31. Their mom, Sarah Augustine, in a psychiatric assessment said, "I couldn't think straight. I saw the knives. The next thing I remember was that Sophie was choking. I suddenly realized something was wrong and she was dying."
Immediately following that, tried to kill herself.
Charged with 2 counts of murder, Sarah Augustine was diagnosed by a Canadian psychiatrist sent to Dominica for an assessment as having bipolar disorder and postpartum psychosis.
I went down to Dominica, we buried the children, got some legal help for Sarah, tried to see to her medical needs because she was just not well.
And then, in a mind-boggling move, Sarah's trial in Dominica was discontinued, essentially paused, with no plea entered, no verdict rendered. The government there saying they didn't have the expertise to deal with her psychiatric issues, and so Sarah was handed over to her brother with just a promise, but no official order, that she'd get treatment in Canada.
There was a lot of public outcry in Dominica about her release, and I understand their anger.
Dennis says early in 2012, Sarah returned to Canada with no monitoring and no record here of the terrible crime back in Dominica.
We got on the plane and brought her straight to the CAMH. She had to voluntarily commit herself because there was no order here in Canada.
And then her brother says after just 2 months at CAMH, she voluntarily checked herself out. Dennis has been on a relentless mission to have her tried for the crimes and ordered into treatment.
The scenario that haunts me the most would be that she has some kids and nobody's the wiser and nobody checks in on her, and it happens all over again.
Now, I spoke with Sarah Lynn Augustine over the phone. She refused to do an on-camera interview or give us a statement about this story. She did tell me that she is in voluntary counseling right now, but refused to give any specifics.
My mom is coming. So see you next time for the latest, for the next video.
But there was no next time. Rachel's uncle Dennis, in his Toronto apartment, cherishes the childhood mementos of the nieces he helped raise: a painting, a handprint, an ultrasound.
Well, Sophie was only 2.5 months, but she was born in my hands, right? They're not mine, but I kind of felt like it a bit.
Dennis says it's out of love for his murdered Canadian nieces and a concern for his sister living in Toronto that he has for 4 fruitless years hounded the governments of both Dominica and Canada.
I recognize that sometimes people, and it's all of us, don't do anything until they're afraid or angry or ashamed. And I'm hoping somebody's going to be afraid or angry or ashamed enough to do something about it.
That's something that Sarah Augustine's murder trial be resumed in Dominica.
There's no extradition treaty with Dominica, but the Extradition Act does have a provision that allows the Foreign Affairs Minister to enter into a specific agreement with a country.
In Ottawa, Foreign Affairs refuses to answer questions about extradition, saying to protect the private and personal information of the individual concerned, further details on this case cannot be released. Dennis Augustine says the murders of 2 Canadian children is not a private matter, and so he's going public, launching this petition in the hopes you will add your voice to the search for justice for his nieces and supervised care for his sister.
I feel like it's my responsibility, right? I'm not their dad, but I love them. And I don't know if anybody else has the stomach to do it. So I'm going to say something, and hopefully it will, and then I can be finished.
Now, this country, this government has some serious questions to answer about what they did or did not do to get justice for two little Canadian citizens who were murdered. There are also outstanding questions about what they did or did not do to get psychiatric help for their Canadian mother. Despite days of repeated requests for information, the Department of Foreign Affairs in Ottawa is refusing to respond to those specific questions. Now, parts 1 and parts 2 of tonight's Inside Story will be up on our website, as well as details of the petition, and that is at citynews.ca. You can reach me on Twitter at CityAvery.